Hey everyone, this is Tim here at Instaclustr. Welcome to another episode of InstaBlinks. Today I'm joined by a very special guest, Derek Troy West. Derek is a long-time engineer of big data solutions, building products, and is a big advocate for real-time streaming compute to solve some pretty interesting problems. Derek, thanks for joining me.
Hey Tim, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. Glad to be here.
Yeah, mate, I'm excited. I'm excited to talk to you. You've been a very busy boy over the last couple of years, building a new business and a new tool over Apache Kafka, which I'd love to talk to you about. But in terms of today's conversation, I just really wanted to have a chat to get your view on Apache Kafka and why it's become the new go-to technology for enterprises. I'd love to pick your brain about the trends that you're seeing in the market. Love to chat to you a little bit about the tool that you've built to address some of the challenges you've seen. Derek, to kick things off, mate, would you mind just giving me a bit of an intro into what you do and what you've been up to over the last couple of years?
Yeah, sure. Well, actually, I'm just really excited to be here talking about Kafka because it's a really transformative thing that we found in our community and in our industry. So my background is enterprise development, pretty dry stuff, lots of finance, telecoms, funds management, big organizations, predominantly working in Java on the JVM. So that's the sort of bedrock of my career. And about 10 years ago, I started to shift more into distributed systems because the organizations I was working with became more concerned about availability and scale. They wanted their systems to run with a bit more consistency, no single point of failure. And actually, I started really getting my head into Cassandra. I think it's probably something that's familiar to a lot of engineers when NoSQL was very, very fashionable a decade or so ago and still remains so today. But that was my first introduction into something that was more of a untraditional approach to building the sorts of systems that we had been building. Mm-hmm. And just to explain what those systems are mostly sort of a CRUD Java web service with some sort of SQL database behind it, and then some complex business domain that sits on top of it. And then I started to focus much more on the distributed side of things and took a job at one point building a system that processes a lot of email. Okay. And email's constantly on, lots of events coming in. It's very much a real-time system. And so we reached out and we started using Kafka. This is about 9 or 10 years ago, as somewhere to put our messages that were coming in off the wire from SMTP servers so that we could then process them and try and make some sense of something that was happening out there in the world. And Kafka was really naturally very well suited to that. And I think that's a traditional understanding of what Kafka is in the engineering space as a message broker. And so that's how we started with Kafka as a platform. And what we've seen since then, as we built a consultancy and we started working with more and more customers, is the sophistication that engineers bring to Kafka and the sorts of systems that we build on top of them. And actually Kafka itself as an open source framework has just matured incredibly to the point now where you can almost consider it a programmatic model for building scalable, available, and most importantly, I think, real-time applications.
Yeah. Can you talk to me about how does Kafka enable real-time applications as opposed to the technologies that were available at the time, like a RabbitMQ or something traditional like that as a message broker?
I think one of the biggest differences with Kafka is that it's not a message queue. Mm-hmm. It's a message broker, but what you really find in an engineering sense when you start working with Kafka is that it's actually an immutable time series, which sounds like slightly complicated, but it's just a store of everything that has occurred, all of the facts that have happened through time. You can place them into Kafka in a really durable and reliable way. Kafka's got such simple semantics about how it works as a message broker. You can produce messages and you can consume messages, but what you can really do is record a history of the events that are occurring in your business at a point in time. And then because of how Kafka's implemented, you can reconsume those messages very, very, very quickly at any point that you want to. And it's really up to you as an engineer how you architect your systems that sit on top of Kafka. So it makes a broad range of the history of facts of a business available to you in a way that I'm not sure other systems that are more about queuing or message delivery do, because those systems assume that at the point that you have the information, you know what should be done with it.
I can see certainly how it would be exciting as a developer. What advice would you have to C-levels that are looking at Kafka that may not be directly apparent from talking to their engineers? What do you think the biggest benefits are that Kafka can deliver to a business and the way that they're wanting to innovate moving forward?
Kafka's very clever, and it's got a very sophisticated and elegant layering of the technologies that come with it. You can adopt Kafka as a message broker with a very, very low technical overhead. But what you'll find as you do that is your engineers will build increasingly more sophisticated solutions influenced by that technical shift that I was talking about, that immutable time series.
Yeah.
And eventually that drives the business outcomes that modern businesses really need, which is that responsiveness to their customers, that availability. And everybody loves the concept of scaling because, that ability to grow is really important too.
That probably leads quite well into the tool that you've built most recently in kPow and Operator. So would you maybe just mind taking a couple of minutes to give me some insight into the tool that you've built and the business that you and the team are running now?
Yeah, sure. So effectively, we took about a decade of our experience building Kafka-based systems for our customers in a consultancy. And we turned that into a product, which is kPow for Apache Kafka. And you can think of kPow as just an all-in-one engineering toolkit that allows you to monitor, manage, and learn about all of your Kafka resources. So Kafka clusters, schema registries, Kafka Connect installations, absolutely everything other than stopping and starting your resources and managing from a sort of operational point of view. But as an engineer, if you need to have some visibility about how your data is flowing through your Kafka systems, right down to the molecular level of the offset lag of a particular group assignment to a particular topic, that's the sort of information that kPow surfaces to engineering teams. And I guess that's the thing that's really unique about us. In this space, we really focus on the engineering experience because we understand from our own experience that you can build phenomenally sophisticated systems with Kafka, and the open source framework is absolutely top drawer. However, there are trade-offs. It comes with, particularly as teams adopt Kafka, there's a learning process that has to be gone through because there are quite a few different ideas within Kafka that are new to engineering teams. And then as you grow in sophistication, inevitably you need to know where your data is. You need to know how your systems are operating. How is your consumption going? What are your Connect cluster characteristics like? And there's a real opportunity there to build a product that does all of that. So that's what we've spent the last nearly 3 years doing, and it's extremely rewarding working with teams around the world now and understanding the phenomenal things that they're doing with Kafka and meeting their demands, because so much of our product delivery now is based on what our users are telling us they need to get to that next level of sophistication, which is really, really exciting.
Derek, mate, I really do appreciate you taking the time to chat. And anyone watching this, as you can tell, we're always open for a chat, and we'd love to hear where you're at in your Kafka journey, development, ambitions, and everything in between. And Derek, no doubt we'll chat again soon, mate. So thank you again for taking the time to chat.
It's always a pleasure to chat with you, Tim, and we'll talk soon.